My God, my man, you did it. You bought this Marvel card and you ended up buying it for $100 and now you sold it for 600 Bezo bucks. Alright, let's just see how much money we made, boys. Wait. Fees?
Oh my God! Oh Jesus!
I think a lot of times when people think of buying and selling collectibles and card games, they forget the fact that aside from the actual high stonks prices that you see on platforms like eBay, TCG Player, a lot of people forget about how collectibles in general are not as liquid as you think it is. And I'll use an example using this otter here, right? So if I bought this otter, let's say for $10,000, and I want to sell it back for $10,000, just because I valued it or someone else valued this otter for $10,000 does not mean that I could release and sell this into the market right away and there's someone that's going to buy it. In traditional investments per se, typically what you could do is if I buy an investment like a stock or something, and if I want to sell it back into the market, whatever the market price is set at right now, I could sell it into the market and I could get my money, right? Whereas opposed to if I want to buy this otter and this otter is a collectible, then I would have to find someone that's willing to pay the market price that it supposedly is. But most of the time, typically, you're not going to find someone that's going to pay the exact price right away. And by liquid, meaning that it doesn't happen right away, and it might not happen at the price that you feel like it should be, or the price that you bought it for. And as a buyer, you don't think about these things because if I want to buy something, I go on TCG Player, I go on eBay. When I look at these collectibles, I see the price it is, I make my offer, or I buy it for whatever the price is listed for, and then I pay shipping, and pretty much the only thing other than that is I maybe pay sales tax, right? And then pretty much if there's any issues with the shipping and I don't get what I receive, then pretty much I just ask for a refund or the platform will take care of me. As a seller, there's extra layers of bullshit that you have to deal with that you don't think about. And a lot of people that come into the hobby thinking that it's all stonks and money, they sit on these products and they don't think about what they have to deal with. And the first thing I'll go over is sales tax as well as fees. So whatever the platform is, I'm going to use TCG Player here as an example. Let's just say last year I made a total sales of around $3,200, right? And in fees alone, I paid $475, so it's like their commission and whatever, as well as in refunds, which we'll touch on later, where, you know, people say that they didn't receive their stuff. And then you'll see that in the total, even though I sold like $3,000 and more of, you know, product, I only made a net total of $2,764. And I also had an example here of like one transaction where you could sell something for $55, the shipping was 99 cents, and then the actual order amount is $56, but they took out like $8 in fees almost. So in total, I only made $48 out of that sale. And that came out to roughly around, I think around like 13 to 14% in pretty much fees that you're paying. On top of that, a lot of people also don't think about the fact that if you made these sales, you have to actually pay taxes on these and you actually have to report these on taxes. So I know a lot of people, you know, they might not be doing their own taxes. They might have family members doing their taxes or whatever it is. But when you make these sales, and let's just say you're buying a lot of stuff and you're selling a lot of stuff as an individual person and you're not a business, you have to remember at the end of the day, you get a tax form at the end of the year and you actually have to report these numbers and you could end up owing money to the IRS that you didn't set aside. And then we'll talk about this part where I said I had a refunded order, right, for $33. One thing people don't think about is that regardless of the platform you use, whether it's you want to avoid taxes and fees and you sell to someone directly on Facebook or you send it to them, or you use TCG Player, you're going to run into people and they're thieves pretty much. You're going to run into people that are going to say that they didn't get the item that you sent to them, you never sent it, they never received it, and it got lost in the mail, regardless of what you say. And most platforms also sometimes side with the seller, especially if you don't have tracking on these orders, then you're out of luck. I sent someone an order for like $20-something and I didn't have tracking on it back when I first started, and that's it. You lost out on all of it. Even if they received the card, they say that they didn't get it, then you lost out on that money. In an ideal world, you wish it worked out that way, where it's just like Full Metal Alchemist, where you give someone something and they give you something back and it just works out with no issues. But realistically, there's thieves out there and you have no choice and you just have to refund them, regardless of whether you think you're right or not. So when it comes to the selling process, it's a headache in general. And I don't think a lot of people are prepared for it, because when you think about it, when you sell a card, let's say you pack the card, you send it out, you have to worry about, oh, is it going to get lost in the mail? If it's lost in the mail, I have to worry about insurance. Did I buy insurance? If I didn't get insurance, and then if I have insurance, I have to go through the process, and then I have to deal with the buyer. And then if the buyer says that they didn't get the card in the condition that, they expected, you have to do like a partial refund, and then, or you do a full refund, and then they send the card back to you, and then you have to worry about, if they send the card back to you, is it going to be damaged? Is it going to be lost again? And then everything's in the mail again. And it's just a huge headache that a lot of people don't think about, and they just focus on, oh man, I'm going to sell this card for a couple $100 and it's going to be easy money. Or let's just say you're the type of person, you're going to buy a card raw and you want to grade it and sell it at the stonks price of a PSA 10. Then you have to think about, I buy the card, I have to send it out for grading, it takes X amount of time for them to return it to me, but then what happens if something goes wrong in the process? I send it out, UPS threw it into the ocean again. Or it received that PSA and whoever's grading your card decided to, I don't know, sit on your card, and then your card's bent in half, and then they send it back to you saying that the card was damaged in transit. What are you going to do? If you don't have the money and you can't stomach the loss, then you're out of your money and there's no repercussions and there's no way for anyone to help you. There's a lot of things to the process of selling cards and collecting cards and investing in cards that a lot of people don't think about, because people don't talk about when things go wrong. Everyone only focuses on, the positives, on how everyone's making money and everything stonks. But when people lose out and when things go wrong for people, most people stay quiet because they're ashamed of it. And it's not like anyone's going to help them. They're just, well, it sucks to be you, right? So before you think about buying and selling collectibles and investing in collectibles, just remember, typically I would say most people are not ready for the process. They're not ready to stomach the losses. They're not ready to deal with when things go wrong. Like anything in life, you have to be prepared for the worst of scenarios, because unless you do that, you're going to be in big trouble if something happens and you're just assuming everything's just sunshine and rainbows and nothing could ever go wrong and there's only plus sides to everything. Not to mention, if you've never worked customer service before, you're in for a rude awakening. When you're buying and selling cards, you're dealing with people. If you've never dealt with people before, you don't know that, when you're dealing with customers, you're pretty much a business owner, whether it's you're pretty much a small business owner, right? Because you're selling things yourself and you have to deal with people. And sometimes people are not nice. People are not honest. And a lot of times there's a lot of people out there that are going to try to rip you off and take advantage of you. Even if you're an honest person, for example, and you send out a card and you're sure it's mint, no issues at all, there could be all kinds of shenanigans that could happen where someone could say that, it's damaged by the time they got it. And you, at that point, have to put on your customer service hat and think all right, what am I going to do? Am I going to refund them or whatever it is? Because as an individual, if you never sold to anyone before, you just think to yourself, well, that guy's an asshole and that guy's a liar. And, well, I'm not going to do anything for them. It doesn't work like that. But that's pretty much it. I just want to kind of highlight the fact that selling cards, selling collectibles, and investing in collectibles is not as simple as it seems. And it's not all about how if you buy something for $100 and you sell something for $600, that all you could focus on is the profit. There's a lot of steps and a lot of layers to it, and there's a lot of things that could go wrong that you have to be prepared to deal with. So before you buy that $10,000 card, $5,000 card, remember, you're going to have to deal with fees, you're going to have to deal with shipping, you're going to have to deal with sending it to the person and then them, whatever else that could go on in between. And then if they say that they don't want it anymore or something like that, you have to worry about them sending it back to you. Because they're saying that it's not as described or whatever it is, because So when you look at your $5,000 item, $10,000 item, even if it is worth whatever it turned out to be, there's a lot of things that could go wrong in the process. And if you're not ready for it, you're going to have a bad time. But yeah, short but sweet today. Thank you for watching the video, and I hope it helps someone out there when they think about buying and selling collectibles and cards in general and realize that, fees, taxes, along with all these other complications, before you think about investing in these things, realize it's a lot of work, especially when you think about some collectibles like sealed products. You have to worry about, making sure the seals don't break. You have to make sure about like finding the right shipping boxes, and shipping can be expensive sometimes. Along with the fact that you have to store these things in your home, and if you don't have a home and you live in like a studio apartment, again, going back to not being financially established, if you have like boxes stacked to the ceiling and you have no room in your living space, you might want to reevaluate if you should even invest in collectibles to begin with. And thank you everyone that's been subscribing to the channel and just commenting and letting me know that you do like the content where I talk about these things where a lot of people don't talk about, honestly. And that's the reason why I make these videos and bring up these topics, because I feel like a lot of people focus on the positives and the upsides of everything, but nobody talks about how, there's a lot of these small things that a lot of people are embarrassed to talk about when they run into it, because people are losing money and people are running into all these issues. And, it's not as fun to watch, it's not as fun to talk about, but it's something you have to know, especially if you're putting your hard-earned money into this. Thank you again, and have a great day.